Daf Yomi Tractate Bava Batra, page 119b. It was the middle of an idea. So it was talking about something that was said by Rabbi Shimon HaShikmoni, that Moses, our teacher, he said that Moshe Rabbeinu knew that the wood gatherer who gathered wood on Shabbat, the Koshish Eitzim, see Numbers 15:32 through 36, was to be punished by death, as it is stated, everyone that profanes it shall be put to death, in Exodus 31:14, but he did not know by which death penalty the wood gatherer must die. And the Torah portion concerning the punishment of the wood gatherer was fit to have been written through God initiating a commandment to Moses to teach which form of court-imposed capital punishment is administered to one who violates Shabbat. But the wood gatherer was found guilty, and the portion was written through the incident involving him. This is to teach you. Okay, now we're on 119b. That the merit is brought about by means of one who is meritorious, and a liability by means of one who is liable. Accordingly, the daughters of Slavchad merited that the Torah portion concerning a positive matter be written through them, and the wood gatherer deserved that a portion concerning a negative matter be written through him. This concludes Rabbi Hideka's citation of Chidka's citation of Rabbi Shimon HaShikmoni. The Gemara states its objection, and if it enters your mind to say that Eretz Yisrael was already in possession of the Jewish people even before the land was assigned, what was Moses uncertain about with regard to the right of Slavchad's daughters to collect a double portion? After all, Chever's portion in the land was in his possession, and Slavchad was the firstborn. Hagufa kabnistapkele ksiv v'nasati yisrael lechem mo Yehoshua ni Hashem Yerusha hi lachem yavoseichem oidilma shem morishin ve'ena morishin. The Gemara answers, this matter itself is what Moses was uncertain about, as it is written, and I will give it to you for a heritage. I am the Lord. Exodus 6 verse 8. Moses was unsure if the verse should be understood, it is an inheritance for you from your fathers, such that it is considered in the possession of those who left Egypt, or perhaps the verse indicates another matter, that the generation of those who left Egypt bequeath the portions to others, but they do not inherit the portions themselves because they are destined to die in the wilderness. Upashtu tarvayu Yerusha lechem avoseichem umerishit ben yoshit mahainu dichsiv tiviemo v'titaemo behar nachloscho tivienu lo nema ela tiviemo elamed shemit nabin ve'en yodin ma mit nabin. The Gemara continues, and God resolved the question for him. The verse teaches both of them. It is an inheritance for you from your fathers, and it is considered in your possession. And also the generation that left Egypt bequeath, but they do not inherit. And this is the meaning of that which is written in the song that the Jewish people sang after the splitting of the Red Sea. You will bring them in and plant them in the mountain of your inheritance, Exodus 15:17. It is not stated, you will bring us in, rather, you will bring them in, which teaches, in their song, the Jewish people were prophesying that their generation would never enter Eretz Yisrael, but they did not know what they were prophesying. V'tamod lefnei Moshe v'lefnei Elazar HaKohen v'lefnei hanesim v'chol ha'edo אפשר עמדו לפני מוישה ולא אמרו להם דבר ועמדו לפני הנשיאים וכל העדה. the Gemara continues its discussion of the incident involving Tzlach's daughters. The verse states, "And they stood before Moses, and before Eleazar the priest, and before the princes, and all of the congregation." Numbers 27:2. The Gemara asks, is it possible that Tzlach's daughters stood before Moses and then Eleazar to ask their question, and they said nothing to them? And then the daughters stood before the princes and all of the congregation to ask them? How would the princes or the congregation know and answer if Moses and Eleazar did not? Ela sarei samikra v'darsheu divrei Rabbi Yehoshua Abba Chanan amar b'shum Rabbi Eliezer b'veis hamidrash hayoshvin v'alchu amdu lahen lefnei kulam. The Gemara answers, rather transpose the verse and interpret it. First the daughters went to the congregation and ultimately came to Moses. This is the statement of Rabbi Yehoshua. Abba Chanan says, in the name of Rabbi Eliezer, those enumerated in the verse were all sitting in the house of study, and Tzlach's daughters went and stood before all of them at once. They were not asked separately, rather the order of the verse reflects their stature. B'mai kamifligi Mar Sofer Cholkin Kavoy the Talmud B'mukam Harav Mar Sofer Ein Cholkin. The Gemara clarifies, with regard to what do they disagree? One sage, Abba Chanan, holds that one may show honor to a student in the presence of a teacher, such that the verse would mention all the others, even though they were in the presence of Moses and one sage. Rabbi Yehoshua holds one may not show honor for a student in the presence of the teacher, such that only Moses would have been mentioned if they were all in the same place. V'hilchasa cholkin. V'hilchasa ein cholkin. Kasha hilchasa. Hilchasa halichasa l'kasha. Hadu palig leid Rabbi Yikara. Hadu lo palig leid Rabbi Yikara. The Gemara concludes, and the halacha is that one may show honor to a student, and the halacha is that one may not show honor. The Gemara asks, this is difficult, as there is a contradiction between that one halacha and the other. The Gemara answers, the contradiction between the one halacha and the other is not difficult, as this ruling, that one may show honor, was stated where his teacher himself accords the student honor. In such a case, others may show the student honor. And that ruling, that one may not, was stated where the teacher does not accord him honor. Okay? It's an answer. It's not a bad answer. Tana, b'nois lov chachmon yoisein. Dalshon yoisein. Tzidkon yoisein. The sages taught the daughters of Tzlachad are wise, they are interpreters of verses, and they are righteous. Chachman yoisein shalafi shadab dibro. The Amar Rabbi Shmuel bar Rabbi Yitzchak. Lama shahaya Moshe Rabbeinu Yehoshua v'dor Hashpachas Yevamim. Shnei ki yesh v'achim yachdov. Amar loi im keven anoch chashuvin. Tana lanu nachla keben. Im lav tityabem imenu. Miyad v'yikra Moshe es mishpatan levnei Hashem. The Gemara proves these assertions. That they were wise can be seen from the fact that they spoke in accordance with the moment, meaning that they presented their case at an auspicious time. Where Shmuel bar Yitzchak says the tradition teaches that Moses, our teacher, was sitting and interpreting in the Torah portion about men whose married brothers had died childless, as it is stated, if brothers dwell together and one of them dies and has no child, the wife of the dead shall not be married abroad to one not of his kin. Her husband's brother shall come to her and take her for him as a wife. Deuteronomy 25, verse 5. The daughters of Zelophehad said to Moses, "If we are each considered like a son, give us an inheritance like a son, and if not, our mother should enter into marriage." Immediately upon hearing their claim, the verse records, and Moses brought their cause before the Lord, Numbers 27:5. Darshani Osein Shahayo Emrois Ilu Haya Lo Ben Lo Dibarnu Pertanyo Bas Amar Rabbi Yomi Smimikan Bas Abaya Omar Afilu Haya Bas Leben Lo Dibarnu. They are interpreters of verses. That they are interpreters of verses can be seen. That they are interpreters of verses can be seen from the fact that they were saying, if our father had a son, we would not have spoken. But because he had no son, we were filling the role of the heir. The Gemara asks, but isn't it taught in a Braita? They would say, if he had a daughter, we would not have spoken. Rabbi Yirmiyah said, delete from the Braita here the word daughter, as they were themselves daughters. This cannot have been their claim. Abaye said that the Braita need not be amended and should be understood as follows. Even if there was a daughter of a son of Zelophehad, we would not have spoken, for she would have been the heir. Tzidkani Yoshem shelo nisu ela lehagun lahen. Tani Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov afilu ketana shebehen lo niseis pechusa me'arboim shana. That they are righteous can be seen from the fact that they did not rush to marry, rather waited to marry those fit for them. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov teaches even the youngest to be married among them was not married at less than 40 years of age. Aini? Is that so? Ini? Is it so? The Homer of Chizda, Nisat Pechusa mi ben Esrim, Yuledes ad Shishim, Bas Esrim, Yuledes ad Arbaim, Bas Arbaim, Shuv Eini Yuledes. אלא מתוך שכנסים נעשו להן נס, כי יוכב דכסיב וילך איש ממסדי ויקח אספס ליבי. The Gemara asks, is that so? But doesn't Rav Chizda say, if a woman marries when she is less than 20 years old, she is able to give birth until she reaches the age of 60. If she marries when she is 20 years or older, she is able to give birth until she reaches the age of 40. If she marries when she is 40 years old or older, she is no longer able to give birth at all. If so, how could Zelophehad's daughters have waited until the age of 40 to marry? Rather, since they are righteous women, a miracle is performed for them, like the one done for Yocheved, as it is written, and a man of the house of Levi went and took as a wife a daughter of Levi. Exodus 2:1. To be continued.